Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about product managers. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Hi Frederick, thanks as always for your lovely videos. I have a question. Are product managers for the most part just parasites? From what I've heard, it seems like non-coders are more often than not in charge of the actual talent, and furthermore they're the ones making the C-suite money. Is there such a thing as a developer-led company where business school types are relegated to sales and other support roles rather than occupying all the top management spots? And would this be the just and correct order of things in a perfect world? Would love your thoughts. Thanks for reading. Well, there was a few questions in there, I think. I would say that if we back it up to whether product managers are parasites or not, I would say that it very much depends on the product manager in question. I would go as far as to say that it is as true, like this idea of them being parasites, that is as true as what I would claim is true for someone who I like to call is a quote unquote real senior. Because it really comes down to the person here, I argue. And let me just kind of walk you through the experiences that I've had on this topic, and hopefully you can sort of see my point. Because something that I am a big promoter of is that we as people, in any organization, in any country, it doesn't matter where we are. It's the basic terminology for it, I think, is meritocracy, where currently we mix quite often the ideas behind that some things you should prove that you know how to do before you get a job, funding, or trust, or whatever. Like, we believe that you should have merits, and that is the thing that's going to dictate whether or not you should be able to do a certain thing. But at the same time, we still have quite a lot of areas where it's just a matter of that you have the role or the charisma or the belief or something like that. Imagine thinking about it this way. So to be a doctor, you have to go to school, you have to get a medical license. To be a politician and lead the world, there are basically no requirements apart from you getting the most amount of votes, which of course is complicated and so forth, but there is a difference there. It's the same thing when we talk about software development and so forth, where quite a lot of companies are hiring a product manager for a project because they believe that they need a product manager. And what I argue is that that is the problem right there. Because when you hire a product manager, you have to understand what type of system are you building and what type of developers do you have. Because the right person, as I like to say, is what's going to dictate whether or not the product meets success. And that's not just the product manager or just the software developers or so forth and so on. It comes down to who do you have in your corner. It's like sports. Like, you need to have a bunch of players, but you need to have the right players in order to win the game. It doesn't matter if you have just random people doing this, and that is what's happening right now. And that's why I argue that quite a lot of companies see a lot of inefficiency in their development process, and with the product manager it's a similar sort of thing, because a product manager who is not equipped to take on the responsibilities, just as I like to say about a software developer. You know how we've had quite a few videos on my little channel here where people ask me, what should you do if you have an unproductive developer, what should you do if they're not measuring up and stuff like that, and I always ask the same question. I answer it in the same way. I argue that we should do it with a product manager. What criteria do you have on this person? How do you determine if they're good or bad at their job? Like, are they in the right role? Are they on the right project? There are product managers who are amazing, who really, really, really bring a lot of value. And then there are the ones that are basically, as I like to say, which is true for, in my personal opinion, most administrators in IT. They are just a person. There's just a person who knows how to host a meeting. That's all they really actually know how to do, and that's the only value that they ever bring. And I want to be as crass and say, oh yeah, that's a completely pointless person. And yeah, in my opinion, at least the times when I'm involved, that is a pointless person. But it's not a pointless person for every single team. And the sad part is that there is a quite large amount of software teams where the senior experience, the senior software developers can't handle taking responsibility for checking in with customers, making sure that they feel like they are being heard, or like these social and soft skills that I've talked about, where literally they can't even handle this. And I've seen it. And for me, these are things that anybody in theory could do, but it's very clearly not the case. Not for everybody. So in that situation, a product manager is necessary. And in the right project, the product manager might be one of the most important people there. And the way I know that is because I've been a product manager. I'm not saying necessarily that I was very important, but let me just explain to you how my manager, like how I became a product manager. So, I've been working as a software developer for many, many years, and I have no formal education whatsoever as a product manager. However, the project that, it was a while back now, that my company needed to be built was an internal integration platform for different content management system, or it was a content management system for a range of different projects. And so my manager understood that, well, this is a highly technical product. Basically, it's all technical discussions. That's all there's going to be. It's borderline like, you know, the interfaces are pretty simple. It's a few basic CRUD operations with some tables and stuff like that. But all the APIs and the data transfers and the storage formats and all of that stuff, that's the thing that is going to be the bulk of this. And so my boss, who is, I argue, a competent manager, or a competent person who's going to staff up for this team, right, understands that, okay, if I take a non-technical product manager here, or anything besides basically someone who has a deep understanding of programming, software integrations and APIs and things like that, that's going to be a very tricky spot to put that person in, because this is not a standard project. It's a project that has a high level of technical knowledge requirement on it, basically. And so he looks around and he finds me, and he figures out that, yeah, Frederick is technical, like he has like the programming and so forth, but he also has some soft skills. In other words, he's easy, often at the very least, easy to talk to, and he can, you know, connect with people. He has those sought after soft skills. So instead of hiring this person, like this non-technical product manager who may or may not have, let's just say, soft skills and that's it, right? Let's get Frederick to do this, because he has the necessary knowledge and the necessary soft skills to execute on this thing. So I become a product manager, and the customers are, on average, they were happy, and like things were going well and so forth. Like I could handle that role because I had the necessary skill set, and that's the thing that I argue should determine whether or not you have a product manager or not. It's the same thing with an agile coach, yes or no. And when people ask me, should I hire a senior, yes or no, and I kind of go, it depends on the senior. If you have a really, really good product manager, it is literally like having a really, really good senior. But if you have the wrong person, or in the wrong situation, it's a pointless person. It really, really is. So what I want you to take away from this is that I would not go as far as to say that product managers are just parasites or anything like that, because what I'm saying is that the reason why they are getting work is usually because the people who are doing the hiring have no idea of what type of person they need. Like they have a role idea. It's, as I said, it's literally like if you're gonna run a sports team, and your whole process for determining who's going to be on the team is, I need a football player. And that's it. Like if there are no other requirements, basically, well, you fundamentally don't know what is necessary to win a match. Well, then you're going to just staff up based on whatever people put on their CV. You don't fully know what to add to the team to empower it, to make it more effective. That's the thing that I try to fight. Where, as I said, let's go away from that. Let's actually prove that when we hire people, because it's a skill to hire people just as it's a skill of doing engineering and stuff like that, put requirements on the people who are running the show, so that you actually know that they know the realities of what it means to be a software developer in a team and what it means to run a project and stuff like that. If you have people who know nothing about that, well, of course you're going to have people who are misaligned. I like to say I call it the slots machine. Every single time I see it, like a bunch of people get hired and the person doing the hiring knows not fuck all about software development. They've never even been part of the process, like they know nothing. So it's like a slot machine. Let's hope that we get the right people this time, and then we do it again and again and again, because you fundamentally have an incompetent person doing the hiring, and then of course you're going to get a range of people, and some of them might be a really good fit for the situation and some of them might not. And that is how I look at product managers. If you have the right product manager, they can be critical to the team, because you might have a team of software developers who have extremely low social skills and organizational skills. They might be good coders, but all these other things are lacking. And in that situation, this is a very important person to have. Just as I like to say that if you have a whole room full of juniors, then the best thing you can do is to hire one really, really good senior who knows how to talk to them and teach them and things like that. That's what I argue. And as for whether or not that means that you get C-level sweet money, I can tell you, like, as a side note, I am now, guys, I'm a principal engineer, and I out earn some product managers. So this idea that the product manager, it's like this weird, what is it, the patriarchy, or something like that. Like, yeah, only people in management and so forth earn the most amount of money. Yeah, sure, you can make that your claim, but that is not always necessarily true. And so what I argue is that I don't think that it is as easy as saying that the person who has a given role is either good or bad or something like that. It comes down to the person and the skill set in that individual. And the key question always is, do I have the right match between the skills of that individual and the task at hand? Because if you ask me to be a product manager for a highly technical product, that might be a really good bet for you, but in another situation I might be the worst person to handle that sort of situation, just as it's true for anybody. You have the right person at the right time for the right task, then that person would practically always be a highly valuable contributor. But otherwise, as I said, of course anybody can be pointless in that situation. Have a great day.